Life isn't perfect, and neither are we.
Nope. But we know how to face our fears
And have some fun.
and talk about all the messiest things of life.
Like the messiest things.
Get connected to yourself, get connected to others, and get connected to the life right in front of you.
This is The Connected Life with Justin and Abby.
That's me.
That's you.
And you.
Got a little risky business on the podcast here today.
Oh, risky business.
For those of you who can't see, I am rocking some risky business shades.
Oh.
And Abby's wondering what I'm doing.
100%. Just watching and listening.
Where's this going? Where's this going?
Is there a story?
Is there a story? I'm going to let this hang a little bit.
Anticlimactic?
No, it's not anticlimactic. Stop. I just threw them on because I'm being ridiculous. Hey, you know what? It's pretty wild. This is our Christmas New Year's episode.
Oh.
There'll be another episode out before New Year's, but this is like the whole holiday season episode. And I'm really excited about this episode.
Yeah.
Abby is less excited about this episode. You cute little stress ball. Stressing out over there about this. We're doing a very impromptu episode. I said, this is what I want to talk about. And
I said, I'm not really sure exactly all that you're going to talk about, but I'm with you on the ride.
Yeah. So
I'm a good ride or die.
Ride or die. Yeah. You're a pretty good ride or die.
Yeah, I'll jump in.
The holidays are something. Should we jump in?
Yeah.
Do you have a funny story? Do you have a Christmas story you want to share? My grandfather and I ate wieners for Christmas all the time.
Red wieners.
Red wieners. That is a true story. Big red wieners. That is. We had these hot dogs.
How did you get all you got all stammery after that?
We had these traditional hot dogs that we both love these hot dogs, and we felt like Santa needed to have hot dogs out because those were his favorite treat.
Oh, that's
so instead of
unique
cookies.
Why? Really? Instead of cookies?
Yeah, we put out red hot dogs.
Because your grandpa was like, he likes these better. Do you feel like you had the dish on Santa? Like everybody else is doing these lame cookies, but I know he wants hot dogs.
Yeah, it felt pretty cool. And then I would come back over Christmas morning, and a couple of them, one would be gone, and maybe one would be half eaten. And we'd finish off the hot dogs.
You'd eat them after they just sat out all night?
Did they sit out all night? Did they? No, they didn't.
No.
Grandpa put them back in his refrigerator.
Let's be honest. Even if they had, they'd probably still be good because they have so much preservatives in them.
Yeah, those were all natural beef ones that were cut right there in Glasgow, Montana. So.
Oh, okay.
So that was my Christmas tradition, eating wieners.
With Grandpa.
And Santa. With that said, everybody has traditions. We have traditions for us when it comes to Christmas.
We do. What are they?
Well, first and foremost, for those of you who are new to the podcast, part of our faith expression is Christianity. And our tradition is to celebrate the birth of Jesus, but there's so much more to that. And there's a conversation inside of this that I want to have, not just like, oh, let me tell you about Jesus, but I want to have a conversation about the beauty of an unconditionally loving God who steps into the fullness of our humanity to get close to us. Because when it comes to the holiday seasons, I find that a lot of emotions come up, a lot of grief comes up for people, not just around Christmas, but also the New Year's, right? Because there's a reflecting over our year. Oftentimes there's a reflecting of who's not with us anymore. There's a reflecting sometimes at these holiday events where we think about the family that we're estranged from. And there's places where we don't know how to get resolve inside of relationships. And that can bring up a lot of pain and grief that we don't know how to manage that. And there's also beautiful celebrations that take place when we reflect and go, there is such exquisite beauty to my life that I've gotten to participate in such beautiful joys, such victories, celebrations, gifts that have come in and out of my life through people and relationships. And so there's a take on this that I want to dialogue about.
So basically, Christmas and New Year's is a time that is the bitter and the sweet often mixed together.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of competing emotions, I think, in most of us over the holidays, where there is so many good memories, fun traditions. We have a movie we watch every year.
Mm-hmm.
We watched it last week and it made me feel so sentimental with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have, childhood memories that come up at Christmas where there was like a lot of pain and disappointment because my mom was sick and incapable. And so there was a lot of ways that she created chaos at Christmas time.
I have beautiful memories, like where my mom, every Christmas morning, we'd be up at 5 a.m. She'd be getting ready to cook everything, and she'd be getting it ready in the bathroom. And I'd get up at 5 a.m. and she would let me open up my stocking.
Cute.
Like everything that was in my stocking, I'd sit in the bathroom with her.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like this special bonding moment between my mom and I that was just so unique before everything kicked off.
Yeah.
So beautiful moments like that.
Yeah,
right?
you have beautiful memories. And then you have, like, a lot of times we're shoring up, and holidays sometimes are like milestones. I remember when I was so sick, every holiday I was like, oh, I for sure thought by this Christmas I'd be able to eat Christmas dinner with the family, or I for sure thought by this Christmas I'd be out of bed, and so holidays can be markers of things you thought would, or I for sure thought by this
Hopes
Christmas
that we
I'd
had.
be married, or I for sure thought by this Christmas I'd be in a relationship, or I would have transitioned my job. And so it can bring up the things that we wanted that we didn't do, or the changes we were going to make but didn't, or the hopes that we had that haven't happened yet. And then there is also and then there's the collision of family, which I think I wish people talked about. Going to be with family is emotions in every direction.
Yeah, it is.
Very few families, it's just positive.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many dynamics when you go back and see your family. There's things where you feel so loved and apart, like you belong to something bigger than you. There's places where you feel stuck in the way that they saw you as a little kid and you can't get out, or the unresolved conflict that's going on,
Yeah,
or the
there's like
crazy dynamics that are happening.
Yeah, crazy dynamics of certain family members that are wild cards.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if they're going to show up, and if they do, how are they going to show up? Is there going to be conflict?
Mm-hmm.
You're sort of bracing for that, yet super expectant of certain family members of like, I can't wait to see this person. They remind me of the best parts of my childhood.
Yeah. And I think I wasn't taught really as a kid this concept, which is life is both things all at once, the bitter and the sweet,
Mm-hmm.
the grief and the glory, the triumph and the agony. It's both things at once. And I always was waiting for that season where everything was good. Oh, if only this and this and this will all make it so that everything just feels right and good this year. Like, and I hoped that for that even into my 30s. Like, I kept waiting for all of the pieces, all the dominoes to line up exactly for a holiday or a moment or a year or a season to just be, everything is working for me. And that's just not what life is like. And so that's something that has helped me with holidays, is starting to be like, there's going to be things that are really beautiful about this holiday, and there's going to be things that might be challenging. And that is the beauty of life. That we are getting to hold two things, which means the challenges are never fully drowning out that there is beauty. And in the midst of beauty, there's also things that we get to rise to the occasion to face.
Yeah. I think about, for some people, you were talking about some of the difficulties, and oftentimes there's areas of our heart where we can feel very isolated and separated from love inside of holidays,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you think of maybe relationships that are no longer here with us on earth.
Oh, yeah.
Or you think of relationships that have separated. Maybe you've gone through a divorce, your family's, or someone in your family's gone through a divorce. There's a split, there's disconnection. And as much as there's the beauty of potential for connection, there's a reminder of the disconnection, the bitter and the sweet. And oftentimes we can step into these seasons and try and put on a perfect face. Like everything's great. It's
My
Christmas.
life's perfect.
Everything's perfect. Even if you get together people you haven't seen in a while, you share all the good things. And you know, it would be no fun just to commiserate, right?
No, just to share everything that's bad. Yeah.
But there are some places where there's like a need to be like, actually things have been a little difficult and I could use some love right now. And we can feel, there's aspects of our heart that can feel very alone and isolated.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I think of this season, one of the things that I was, you know, talking about Jesus and Christmas as it is I think about this idea that there's this radically loving creator that says, I want humanity to understand that no matter what you are going through, there is no separation. I am not off in the distance, disconnected from you. At any point in time, you are always connected. Like this idea that separation is an illusion is broken in the idea that our creator crosses over from an eternal space to an earth space and says, I am right before you. And I want you to see my nature reflected inside of humanity, that I will get into your most difficult, dark moments. I will climb into the midst of your messiness and I'll sit down with you. And that's something like, when I think about our faith tradition, I think about I'm participating with a creator that not only stepped into our human condition to fully understand it so that we would feel fully understood, but also that, you know, when it talks about Jesus leaving, he said, but I send someone to be with you, the comforter, the Spirit, which is a comforter. And I think about the idea that God goes, I actually know the conditions of earth and how difficult it can be. And that's why I've assigned something to be so close to you that would grant you comfort. And the idea of Jesus coming to this earth, for one aspect is that he is comfort. He comes to bring comfort and joy and to leave with us a relationship with his Spirit that gives us comfort through these things. And so I think about, again, the holidays, and when we're reflecting over our year, there can be so many places of grief that we have. And as humans, there's the aspect, you talked about the sweet and then the sour. And suffering is an equal part of the human condition, as much as some of the beautiful things that happen. Suffering, so much part of it. And suffering can especially exacerbate the idea that we are abandoned and we are alone. And in that, there is this promise of, I know you will suffer, and I want something that will give you ease and peace in the midst of your suffering. I want you to be able to be comforted. And so when I think about Christmas, I can tell myself feeling a little emotional over this.
Too. Surprisingly.
You know, I think like there is, our experience matters so much to the one that created us. Our journey of being here on earth isn't just a waste, and it's not just about suffering. I think it's about a revealing of love, but going on the journey of discovering love can be incredibly difficult. It can be incredibly painful to discover love in this space. And there is a God that's not calloused. There's a creator, a papa that's not callous to the reality of that. It's like, you'll go here, you'll have these experiences, and I want you to know you're not alone through any step of that. And so I get emotional when I think about Christmas, because I think about it as, oh, this is a reminder that we are not alone. This is a reminder that somebody sees us in our messiness and our difficulties, and is deeply compassionate and moved by the sufferings that we have and wants to meet us in that. And I sometimes, this will sound a little bit like a soapbox, I sometimes get bummed about Christmas and Christmas gifts, because it takes away from the message at times. Like, and what I mean by that is,
I've never heard you say this.
Yeah, I've thought this quite a bit. And this isn't a religious rant about it takes away from Jesus.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is we live our lives trying to medicate our pain with temporal things like goods and services that are a temporal medication. Like Christmas morning, we rip open those gifts and we get a temporal medication. And again, it's not bad. I love Christmas. I love gifts. But when we're not sitting focused around the message of Christmas, we are missing out for our own souls. The idea, the truth, the belief that actually creates peace and alleviates suffering, which is, oh yeah, this moment is about a reminder that I am not alone. I am being radically fought for on a daily basis. I am being pursued. I am being chased down, and I am understood. Like my moment with my family, with the people who are here, or the lack of people who are here at this table or in this moment of this holiday season, is known by a creator, the ache of my heart, and being able to collide, like our heart and our mind to collide with that truth, all of a sudden begins to create a vision for hope for the year to come. Because when I sit in a moment and I go, I am not alone, this marks everything. I start having vision for my next year. This next year, no matter what suffering, losses, disconnections that happen, I am not alone on that journey. Hey, Connected Life peeps. 3 of the greatest gifts I think you can receive during the holidays is emotional health, sex, and money. Now, we can't give you sex, but we can give you emotional health and we can give you money. So right now, December 23rd, 2024, through January 1st, 2025, you can go to Justin and Abby, that's abi.com/reclaiming you, and you can sign up for Reclaiming You and save $100. That's right. You can save $100 at the checkout with the code Happy New Year's. Now, for those of you who don't know about Reclaiming You, that is a 14-week live program kicking off January 11th, 2025, and you're going to focus on healing the nervous system and building emotional resilience. And you can find out more about that on justinabby.com/reclaiming you. And again, at the checkout, you can use the code Happy New Year's and save $100. There you go. Emotional health and money. Now you have to go find yourself some sex. I'd be in so much trouble if Abby was here right now.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting because I think aloneness is one of the most common human experiences and human pain. And I am thinking about in my own life, like 8 years ago, I went through 20 to 25 traumatic events back to back to back to back. It's very much like a Jenga tower, like every trauma event is like a piece being taken out from the foundation and then being put on the top until it, like the pressure, all the holes that happened, plus all the pressure of the pain just collapsed the whole tower and Jenga pieces went everywhere. And what I would describe it felt like on the inside was it felt like my heart shattered in a million pieces on the floor.
Yeah.
And all I felt was aloneness. It was all consuming. It was like a black hole void inside my chest. That's actually what I still describe it as, is it felt like a cannonball went off in my chest and there was a hole of aloneness that just sucked me in. And it was like a never ending black void. And I'd spent years, Christmas was one of my favorite holidays because when I was younger, I was so tormented, and Christmas always felt like that moment where you're like, God came for the tormented people. Like this is the moment that God broke through from choosing to be God. He broke through and came to be human with us to feel all of the torment that we feel and provide a way out of that torment. So I always felt like Christmas is this really powerful love letter from God.
Yeah.
But when I went through all of the trauma and I have this hole in my chest, my aloneness completely swallowed up my ability to feel like there was a God that loved me, to feel like there was a God that was with me. The trauma actually trumped all of my experiences. Now, I'd say it trumped all of my ability to feel that with people as well. It just like my heart broke and I could only feel the aloneness and the grief of how much loss I had been through and the grief of I thought there were things that I could count on and I can't. Like the things that I thought for sure would be okay or stable or would stay in my life, or the people I thought for sure could love me forever. Like when those things got taken out, it was like everything's on the table then. Nothing is secure. And so I couldn't feel God's love. And one of the things that has really helped me on this journey is understanding my nervous system and my trigger system and my attachment system and how that affects my view of God. So in understanding like your nervous system, it's always looking for, am I safe? Am I in threat? Or am I in life impending doom? Well, when you feel alone, like our bodies are built for survival, to feel like we belong to a tribe is to feel safe. So when we feel alone, we actually get stuck in life impending doom in our hearts. And so it can be devastating to get stuck in aloneness. And because I got stuck in aloneness with what was happening in my world, there are times when we go through really hard times and God feels really close.
Yeah.
And that is the only way you survived a season, because God felt really close when everything else failed. And then there are times when everything falls apart and you can't feel God.
Yeah.
And that was what it was like for me. My attachment system, I couldn't feel that anyone was safe. I lost my ability to feel safe. So God didn't feel safe. No one felt safe. And I actually had to begin to rebuild my ability to connect to safety, to understand safety, to feel safety in my body again. That whole process is why we're teaching Reclaiming You. It's a course to help you learn how to get safe again. But on that journey is where I started to process the idea of God, the theology of God, because I couldn't feel God. But I was like, what is true? What do I believe is true about his nature? And I started to imagine that I have this feeling of aloneness, but my feelings are about my past history, flashbacks, not necessarily telling me what is true about the world.
Yeah.
Not necessarily telling me what is true about God. And that ability to start to recognize my feelings are very real. Like I had to grieve. I feel so alone. It feels really hard to feel this alone. I'd felt God with me my whole life. And so when all of a sudden it felt like there wasn't that connection, that felt really scary. But the peace came from knowing almost like the realization that my feelings are telling me something that is important and matters, but they're not necessarily telling me the truth.
Yeah.
They're telling me a truth. They're telling me about my experiences. They're telling me about what my nervous system is picking up on, all of the threats that I see and feel. They're not necessarily telling me what is real. And I began to look at God and my worldview began to change of like, there's actually never a moment he leaves any of us. Ever, 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 ever. There's never a moment that he separates from us. We were created in him. We were created through him. There's not a human on the planet that can exist outside of him. And so there is, I love in the Bible, it says, if I go to the heights, you are there. If I go down to hell, you are there. There's nowhere that I can run that you won't get me. And I love that idea of that. And I started to hold the idea of a God who was with us. And that started to create safety more than this like feeling of closeness, the idea that no, God never leaves. Even when I feel alone, there's somebody who's looking at me. There's somebody who's loving me. There's somebody that believes good about me. There's somebody that hasn't turned on me. There's somebody that doesn't care no matter how much I fuck up, no matter how much I make mistakes, no matter how messy I am, no matter how broken I am. There is a being that wants to forgive me and wants me to be loved. When I'm my worst self, they want me to actually still receive love. They don't want me to be punished. They don't want me to suffer. Mm-hmm. They want me to receive love. And I started to change my ideas about the nature of God, not from experiencing it, but from seeing that that is true about who he is.
Yeah. You think about Emmanuel, God with us. Mm-hmm. That is such a profound statement. It's a profound name that they connected with. Emmanuel, God with us. It's not just Jesus was in the presence of people for a moment, but it is a truth that God is with us. What does that mean? Like, you could easily just let that go over your head, but wait a second. God is with me. Like, a friend of mine talks about the idea that we can't separate ourselves from God, but we can alienate ourselves in our own minds. And that is there are those of us that do not believe that there is a good creator involved inside of our story and present with us. And we create a turning from God, an alienation, a self-alienation within our own mind and our own soul, which perpetuates an ache of suffering inside of us because we believe all of a sudden inside of that, the illusion of isolation, the illusion of separation, right?
Yes.
But so we can alienate ourselves inside of that, and we can perpetuate our own hell and our own torment. But when we connect with the idea of like, oh, God is with me, like all of a sudden there is a connection inside of our souls that comes alive. Like, it talks about the idea that Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly. Like you may not have the riches of all the world, but you could be living in a prison cell and you could feel the essence of an abundant life, the love of God. If you truly connect with God is with me inside of this. Like, I remember when you were going through your sicknesses and I was sitting there feeling so separated from God when I could not pray enough to see you be healed. And I felt such abandonment inside of my soul. And I felt that sense of alienation that was surging through my being day after day, week after week, month after month, of being like, I can't move this stone that's in front of me. And why won't you move it? And there was something inside of me that said, I'm going to surrender my right to alienate myself from God, because that's the very thing that I need in order to get through this. And I remember as I let go of the alienation
and the accusation
that was inside of it that caused the alienation. Like, there was this accusation, you don't care, you're not in this, you may not even be real. When I surrendered that, I felt the love of peace, or the flood of peace. And I felt love overtake me, and I felt joy start being restored. And so, like, in my prison cell that I felt like I was in, trapped and alone with you as you were in suffering, all of a sudden, peace that surpassed all of my understanding started overcoming me. And I was like, I am going to be okay. And even if she passes away, I can truly feel and believe that you are a good dad inside of this. And I saw abundant life start to overtake me, and hope began to be restored, because I was reconnected with the reality that there was no disconnect between me and my creator. There was no separation. And I stopped perpetuating that illusion.
I often think, for me, in a lot of we've had a lot of suffering in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And in that journey, this is the visual I have of God, because so we say God always loves you and he always wants to be with you, but then you experience these horrible things and you're like, there's no way that God loves me. And you're like, I can't feel his love. And the thing that the image I have that has helped me, it's a solar eclipse. So there, like the sun is never moving. Is it the sun? My brain is all of a sudden
I don't
stopped.
remember how solar and lunar, solar, I don't know how it works.
Why did I completely forget my own analogy?
Yeah, you butcher that.
I see it like there is a shadow.
Mm-hmm.
My pain, like the sun is immovable. God's love is immovable.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a shadow that can get cast over the sun where I don't see the sun in the same way. It doesn't mean the sun has changed. It doesn't mean
it's gone anywhere.
It's gone. It's actually the same distance from me that it was the day before, and it'll be the day after. But the shadow has created an illusion of disconnect there. And so I always think that pain can eclipse the love of God, our own disappointment, our own fear. And in that season for you, there was a lot of disappointment with God. Yeah. Because he wasn't answering questions the way you thought he would.
And it did start eclipsing, like inside of me, it started eclipsing all of my past good experiences of God's faithfulness, experience of God's miracles, right? Like all of a sudden that pain,
you were so focused on what he isn't doing,
right,
that you began missing what he was doing.
Yep. And it eclipsed the reality of his existence even in that season.
And we know that with trigger brains, right? So when we get triggered, our brain, when we start to notice threats, our brain then starts to scan everywhere for threats. So as soon as we're feeling alone from God or abandoned from God, our brain is going to gather every moment in our history or other friends' histories or other friends' lives. And it's going to gather those in confirmation bias to convince us, see, God, you are alone. See, God isn't with you. And that's not even, like some people would call that demonic. It's literally just the way our brains are designed to work with threat. If we feel a threat, we gather all the other ones and to prove that belief true in order to protect ourselves, because we're trying to survive. And so I had to learn to stop using my confirmation bias with God when I was in a threatened state. When my body was in threat, when my nervous system was in threat, that's not when I would go back through and be like, has God been with me or not? I learned to, in my moments of threat and desperation, grieve. I need to grieve. I need to grieve that this is hard. I need to grieve that this, like I was so sick and I was so brokenhearted and I just felt so like there was nothing left. And in those moments, I just grieved and then could come back to what is the truth that I know about the nature of God. And then where can I find that in my story alongside of it? And for me, what really changed was not what can God do for me, because I was looking for him. I wanted him to miraculously heal my heart or my body, either one. I would like an instantaneous poof, please. I'd like for all the things that got broken, all the relationships that got broken to be healed. I would like for all of the parts of my body that are sick to be mended. I would like every part of my story to be redeemed. And I'd like it to be in one of those miraculous moments. And I had to let go of what I thought God's love would mean.
Yeah.
Because that's what I defined it as. So every day that I was still sick, I was like, this proves God doesn't love me. Every day that there was still suffering, I was like, this proves he's abandoned me. It proves he doesn't care. And I had to let go of that definition. We created a course this year that I am so excited about. It's 8 years worth of my own personal healing process, plus all of the trauma, research, and understanding that I've had, and all of the healing that I've been able to walk others throughout this process. It's called Reclaiming You, and it will help you create a healthy relationship with your body, your nervous system, and emotions. It's going to help you find your resilience again so that you can face life with hope and joy and actually feel relaxed and feel good in your body and feel safe in your own skin again. And we want to invite you. We want to invite you to join us for this experience this January.
Yeah. And also, for those of you who are just joining us, we've been in the emotional health field for 15 years now. We've had over 4,000 clients, and we've had over 10,000 people take our courses. And the cool thing is that in that whole process, we've actually had thousands of people tell us that taking our courses has radically transformed their lives, their relationships. And the reality is, it's not just because of the information, it's because of the community aspect. And that's what's so cool and unique about Reclaiming You. It's 14 weeks of live community experience that you're going to have when you join us for that. So we're excited about it. Come join us. You can go to justinabbey.com/reclaimingyou. And October 28th is when that'll be available on our website. And then January 11th, 2025 is when the course kicks off. And it's going to be a cool way to start the year off. So come join us. I think that you make a really good point there is we have a definition of what love is that is vastly different than an eternal love. We have a limited and very short-sighted view of love based on the brokenness of our own humanity, based on our inability to see the bigger picture. So we see through a microscopic lens versus a macro lens, versus backing out and going, what does love look like for an individual when you're looking at the fullness of their whole life and the things that they're here on earth to apprehend for their eternal self. Because if our eternal self wanted to participate here because we wanted to apprehend something beautiful from this, there may be things, challenges, experiences that we need to walk through in order to apprehend a more fuller picture of love for our experience. And so I so agree with this idea of like, I was defining what love looked like when I was going through that. And one of the things that I got to was I was like, I don't know what love looks like in this, Papa. So what I am going to do is I'm going to give you permission to love me the way you want to love me and bring me comfort for the places that don't make sense to me. And I started feeling that sense of comfort when my brain couldn't read the scenario properly. And I started, like, in retrospect, I look back and I go, oh, he was loving me so radically well in ways that the fear that we have blinds us from being able to see. You know, you talked about your threat response and stuff. And we have to understand that our relationship with fear creates blinders to the intimate connection that our Creator is having with us.
Yeah. And your brain had been hooked on, I will know God loves me if he heals my wife.
Correct. I will know that God is real. I will know that God is involved if he heals her.
And the pain point in that was that you were feeling so alone.
Correct.
And then every time that was your definition of love, you just felt more
separate,
alone.
more separate. And that separation broke when I let go of my definition and my accusation again against God and saying, like, I don't know what love looks like. I just know that you are loving, and I'm going to embrace that idea in whatever form that it's going to meet me.
One of the, we've been listening to NDEs a lot, and one of my favorite ones, they talk about how when you're going through the atmosphere, so like they had an encounter with God in, not on earth.
In the eternal space.
In the eternal space. That's a good way to say it. Because a lot of people say it's not heaven yet. It's just the eternal space. There's a point of no return they can't come back from. So they haven't crossed over to that. But they are so aware of being one with God and one with everyone, and that there's full love and full safety and full security. And they said as they were coming back to get back into their body, there was an atmosphere, kind of like a
layer,
a film that they went through, that they said that's when separation, the illusion of separation, became real again. That there's actually like an illusion of separation atmosphere that happens. That's part of what living on earth is forgetting this oneness that we have with God and this oneness that we have with each other, and our invitation on the earth is to remember our connection that is unfaltering, to remember this love that never changes, this love that is immovable, this love that is so far beyond what we could imagine, this love that literally holds us and secures us. And so many of the NDEs say that in the eternal space, they're so aware that they're fully secure in love and that everything that they've gone through, and there's people who've had truly horrific lives on earth.
Yeah.
When they go to that eternal space, they say that the love is so much realer than any pain that they'd ever been through. And they can see that they were never alone.
Yeah.
They can see it in a way that they said doesn't make sense here. And I think I've begun to start visualizing that just as a visual aid for me, that I may feel separate. I may feel the illusion of disconnection or aloneness, but I am never alone.
Yeah. I think about, one of people's biggest gripes is like, if God is good, why is there suffering?
Yeah.
And they keep trying to define the goodness, the realness, and the presence of God in their story based on how much suffering there is or isn't. And I think, like, I remember asking in anger, why is this happening? This suffering, right?
Yeah.
Why is this happening? Versus, interesting. Why is this happening? Not just you being sick, right? But
Sure.
like the curiosity of humanity that says, why is there something unique about Earth that suffering is a part of the condition, that this illusion of isolation can be here? What is the purpose of the illusion? What does it reveal? What does it benefit the spirit part of me? Like, what is all that? There is a promise inside of it. Like, again, we see someone like Jesus that steps into our humanity as a promise of like, hey guys, I know that as you're participating in this thing that feels wildly crazy to you, feels horrific, feels like, why does this exist? There's a promise that it's good. You're going to be good. I'm with you inside of this, right? But if we were to get down to curiosity, we could begin to, instead of allowing suffering to perpetuate more suffering, we could embrace that, okay, there's a level of suffering that's part of the human condition. There's answers for it. And there's something, again, inside of it that reveals something to me that I want to get out of this. So to me, that's part of where I'm trying to figure out how to communicate this. I have adjusted my relationship with suffering. I do not worship at the feet of suffering, but I do not reject my relationship with it. I sit there and I have embraced it as part of my human condition, and it no longer defines whether or not I'm alone,
whether or not God loves you,
whether or not God loves me,
whether he's with you or not.
I've embraced it as part of my human experience. I'm like, oh, hello, suffering. Good morning. Who am I going to become today in relationship with you? In how I relate to you, what I choose to do with your presence inside of my life. And I allow it to not be the only thing I see. I see the celebration. I see all the gifts and stuff, but I see it and I walk by its side. And again, I don't allow it to define me, and I don't allow it to define my relationships, and I don't allow it to define my creator any longer.
Yeah. I one of the statements is said is your resistance to pain is what creates suffering.
Correct.
And a lot of us were really resisting. I think we believed, even in Christianity, I think there was a belief that I think the prosperity gospel where you're like, no, if you just love God. I think this is why a lot of people in their 30s and 40s deconstruct, because they thought, if I just love God and
but if I do all
him,
the rules,
then eventually it will all work out and it will all be
peachy-keen.
easy eventually. Or I just need to work harder, or I need to wait longer. And then at some point you realize, I don't think that's real.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of the acceptance of, we live in a world where there is going to be pain. There's going to be sickness. There's going to be death. There's going to be betrayal. There's going to be heartache. There's going to be rejection. And also, we live in a world where there's love and comfort and connection and compassion and generosity and hope. And the idea is we can actually accept that there is contrast. We can accept that there is pain so that we don't resist it and create more suffering. And so that we can learn how to hold hands with it while learning how to hold hands with hope, joy, love. Like for me, love has become so much more important, and it's become so much of a stabilizing force. Like for me, because everything broke and shook in my life, having a God whose personality doesn't change really transformed my life. It really became a stabilizing pillar eventually. Now, when I grew up, I had a lot of, like everybody has some unique relationships with their parents. And my relationship with my mom, she was mentally ill, was very up and down. And so for a long time, I related to God through the lens of my mom.
Yeah.
And probably my dad, like on some level. So it was like, is God happy with me today or sad with me today? Is he going to be in a mood? Is he really proud of me now, but now he's turning against me? It was such a wild ride in my nervous system got patterned to feel really loved one day and then just be down another day and then really loved one day and get caught off guard the next day. And so I repeated that cycle in my nervous system with God. I would feel like he loved me so much one day and then I wasn't enough the next day. And then he was really for me and helping me out. And then I was alone and he needed me to change everything. And so I just repeated for years this emotional roller coaster that I had been on through my childhood, believing that that's what God was like. And it wasn't until I started looking at his nature separate than my feelings. What is his nature? No, he's stable. It says he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And no, it says that he loves us unconditionally, that he is always with us, that he is always for us, that he's so compassionate. I was just reading a verse the other day that says he scoops his sheep up in his arms and holds them close to his heart. There's such a beautiful nature of God. And I started imagining that it is unchanging and it is stable. And while all the relationships around me are not like that, there is one being that I can count on that is not bipolar, emotionally all over the place, up and down, here and gone. There is a God that is with me, for me, always wants to forgive me, always wants me to feel like he's on my team, she's on my team, however you view God. God is not a sex. But that you actually know that there is God who wants good for you no matter what is happening. That began to change my life, seeing the nature of God is unshakable instead of seeing it as whatever I do can create distance or closeness. In my childhood, I believed that my parents were happier or frustrated with me based on my performance. And so I learned very conditional imaginations of, if I feel like you're proud of me, it's because I did good. And if I feel like you're frustrated at me, it's because I'm bad. And I had to throw all of that out with God, or else it would just keep you on a constant crazy roller coaster.
Yeah, it really does. I wanted to circle back to you're talking about the suffering thing. And I was thinking about the idea, I cannot know the fullness of something like the essence of compassion without suffering. Because there's nothing to have compassion on if there is no suffering. I cannot know the essence of what forgiveness is.
Oh, you better get it.
If I've never been hurt, I've never been betrayed, I've never experienced pain from another relationship. I cannot know that expression of love. If I was born in the presence of love and never stepped out of it into an illusion of it, I would never be able to know the vastness of love. Because the vastness of love is found when we have an ability to make decisions that are destructive and perpetuate pain and are in alignment with fear. Like when we align with fear, we perpetuate suffering. And in that suffering, forgiveness is revealed, which is a radical aspect of love, right? I think about the idea of like hope. Hope can't exist without a sense of hopelessness. Without, like, you can't know hope. You can't know faithfulness without this illusion of like, it's all going to fall apart and I'm alone in this. And God's like, no, let me show you how faithful I am. Let me show you what a good friend I am. You perceive that I am not inside of this. Let me show you my faithfulness inside of your story. And you're going to begin to know how much I care about you. You're going to know a grander experience of my love for you. And so I think about when I was talking about how suffering, it's like, I don't worship at the feet of it, but there's something about I do relationship with suffering in that I'm like, no, you are a beautiful part of this gift that is revealing love, not only in God, but forming it in me, because as I'm walking through these things, I get to choose to either embrace fear and perpetuate destruction, or I can embrace love and perpetuate peace. I can perpetuate wholeness. I can do some very radical things in the midst of a suffering world. Like I am given an invitation daily when people do harsh, mean, destructive things to me. Like they are a gift to me. I can look at them as adversaries. I can look at them as obstacles, or I can see them as a springboard into this exposure to a love that I didn't know before.
Yeah.
And in that, we get to learn about one of the greatest expressions of love to me, which is humility, right? So like, bless those who curse you. And if someone slaps you, give them the other cheek, It's like, I get to choose, not through passivity, but through a powerful act. When people are choosing to behave outside of the nature of love towards me, I get to choose to engage an aspect of love that I didn't have an option to engage before, that I get to partner with it and I get to become its essence in the middle of darkness. And so that to me is one of the most beautiful aspects of being on earth. And I'm tying this into the idea that there's a war in seasons like this for people of like, yeah, but is God real? Does God even care? I have all this suffering. And I'm like, you're looking at suffering as the villain inside of your story. And you're looking at him as also one of the other villains inside of your story. And these things aren't necessarily the villains. They're actually the gateway to you becoming and obtaining everything that you're meant to obtain out of this experience, if you'll humbly submit to the process and let go of your need to understand all of it, but yet embrace and allow your heart to be softened. Like I got to a point where I'm like, I don't have all the answers. I may not get all the answers, but I'm going to allow myself to be tender and allow myself to approach all of this with curiosity and wonder, and allow something to be formed inside of me in this process.
Yeah. I mean, you're really talking about, like, I think about if we just lived in eternity where we were fully loved and we all understood each other fully and there was no fear and no disconnection, no misunderstanding. You're saying like in that realm, we actually don't understand the power of forgiveness.
No.
The power of faithfulness, the power of patience, gentleness.
We don't understand the love that we are inside of in that realm.
Yes. And so when we are here and we see contrast, it actually is enabling us to participate with the nature of God in a whole new way.
The glory of God is revealed in our sufferings.
Yeah.
Right.
And our ability to knit our understanding, to awaken back to our oneness with him. Whenever I participate in forgiveness, it's extraordinary.
And that to me is where the kingdom of heaven gets unlocked and is revealed on earth as it is in heaven, is when I choose to stop alienating myself, to let down my walls, to connect in on that and participate with that love. That's where the miraculous shows up. That's where the beauty shows up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for us, it's really been, one way to say it is, whether or not I died, did you want to be alone from God?
Right.
Whether or not I get the promotion, whether or not finances work the way that I want them to, would I rather feel like God is with me while I'm in the struggle, or would I rather feel alienated and disconnect from him in that struggle? And for us, I had to wrestle with God. I had to get angry. And then I think we both came to a place where we were like, it's actually more suffering to get angry at God when we're in pain.
It exacerbates pain.
It magnifies it.
Yeah.
Now, I think everybody has to go through their own journey, and the Bible's full of wrestling. I mean, the Psalms are so full of like, where did you go? Why have you? There's so many verses in Isaiah and the Psalms, and where it's like, God's like, why did you think that I abandoned you? Like, and it's just human nature to feel abandoned on the planet when hard things happen. And I think wrestling through that is important. So I don't want people to skip the wrestle, but I do think there's a place that you can get where you actually can feel securely loved and securely safe. And you can have someone to look at. Like, you can have eyes to look at every time life gets shaky. You can be like, there is an immovable being of love who's with me and cares about me.
This is one of the last things I'll say kind of on this, but I'd mention humility as what I perceive as one of the greatest expressions of love. And I think about the idea of Jesus. And here you have an expression of God manifest in human skin that says, I am not here for you to serve me. I have come here with the immensity of my love, my care, my compassion, my empathy, my sympathy, my all of this. And I come to serve you. Like, I will lay down my life like unto death. Like everything about his journey with his disciples and with the people was like, I want to serve the most brokenhearted. I'm here to serve the people who acknowledge that they are wounded, and I will take care of you. Like, I think about our humanity and how we create gods in our minds, and those gods are usually always punitive in nature. And they are angry, aggressive, and punishing and taking from humanity, right? These gods that we make up in our minds through all kinds of religions create gods that punish and require this taking. And here you have this God revealed in Jesus that says, I'm not here to take. I am only here to give. And where you don't believe that you are deserving of love is where I'll show up all the more to give, to serve, and to lay down my life till you know the truth of your being in this process. And
till you know the truth that you're loved, till you know the truth that you're wanted, till you know the truth that you belong.
Until you know the truth that you are love. That you are kindness, that you are joy, that you are peace, that is the essence that you were created in and through. That is what you are at the core of you, even though all of your actions don't align with that because you still believe you're a child of fear. But when I think about that, that elates me. Like, I get elated when it comes to Christmas because I think, man, there is a God that, for all intents and purposes, could come condemning me and demanding and requiring that I be more than I feel like I have the capacity to be. And he's going, but you're more than enough to me right now. Let me just meet with you. I just want to serve you and take care of you in the midst of your messiness. And that radically undoes me every Christmas as I think about that concept.
And I love it so much because he came for those of us who would feel so much shame and so much unbelonging, disqualification. Like, he came in a shame culture looking like a bastard. He came, looking like an illegitimate kid. And so he was raised around drama and controversy and people probably looking down on them, probably them being second-class citizens because of that. He came into a place where there was poverty. He came into the most unlikely circumstances because he wasn't afraid to experience our suffering. He wanted us to know that he could understand the torment, the trauma of living here. And he wanted us to never be alone in any of that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a beautiful story. I think very few religions are about a God that wants to come be like us, be human, understand us, know us from the inside out, and walk with us step by step. And a God who, when he was dying said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." Not a God who is sitting there in judgment and harsh anger, but a God who's having compassion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with that said, this Christmas holiday season, I hope that this episode is something that warms areas of your heart, maybe reminds you of the love that's available and how you're not alone, or for the first time reveals to you that you're actually not alone and that there's an abundance of love available to you inside of this. I hope that as some of you listen, I'm sure some of you have reflected on areas of your suffering, and I hope that this begins to bring comfort to areas of your suffering as you consider different ideas about what you've been through and how God wants to participate with you in this journey. And I want to say, as we're moving towards next week will be our last episode of the year, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has participated with the Connected Life. I've gotten the gifted opportunity to hear some really beautiful stories of how you've allowed us to impact your world by allowing us to speak into it, by listening to these podcasts. I'm always in awe of the ways that we get to participate with you guys. Thank you for trusting us with your life and considering the things that we have to say. And I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, it is such a joy to be with people on the journey. And I think, just to give people realistic, I was wrestling with God's nature for years.
Yeah.
And the journey of believing that separation is an illusion, I'm still working that into my life patterns, my nervous system patterns, my brain. But I do feel like I overcame a huge hurdle in that. So I just want people to know that they have time to go on that journey.
That's so
it doesn't
good.
have to be done right away, but there is a strength that starts to come when you're no longer accusing God every time something hard happens.
Yeah.
There's a power that starts to come, that starts to feel real. There's a comfort.
Yeah.
The truth is, when hard things happen, I feel like I have a comfort to go to now that I didn't have before.
Yeah, that's so good. And as we wrap this up, Reclaiming You is kicking off January 11th, 2025. You can go sign up for it now at justinabby.com/reclaimingyou.
Yeah. If you related to any of the getting stuck in threat, not knowing how to connect to safety, not knowing how to feel God, we're not going to specifically go into your relationship with God, but we are going to train your nervous system how to find more stability and how to find safety. And that is the pathway that actually led me to finding a secure connection with God.
Yeah. And the other thing is
it's a live experience. It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. And last thing is, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe.
Yeah,
hit the bell button for Christmas. If you want to give us a Christmas gift, go subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hit the bell button and share this episode and some other episodes with people, and tell them about the Connected Life.
That's the nicest thing you could do.
Yeah, is to spread the message. We'd really appreciate that. So, yeah. Anything else, Abs?
I love you.
I love you too.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. And go away.